What if I told you that three jewelers managed to steal over $500 million from hip-hop's biggest stars, and the artists helped them do it? We're talking about an industry built on authenticity, where keeping it real isn't just a motto, it's everything. But behind the glittering chains and diamond grills lies one of the most sophisticated psychological manipulation schemes in modern business. Jacob the jeweler, Johnny Deng, and Rafaello Co didn't just sell overpriced jewelry, they weaponized hip-hop culture's deepest insecurities, turning poverty trauma into $500 million in profit. That's what we're breaking down today on the Philosophy of Marketing. This isn't just a story about jewelry, it's about how culture gets commodified, how trust becomes currency, and how marketing can blur the line between status and scam. Let's start with the OG scammer himself, Jacob Arabo, better known as Jacob the Jeweler, and yeah, I said scammer because this man literally went to federal prison for money laundering and tax evasion. But before Jacob was wearing orange jumpsuits, he was the king of hip-hop jewelry. This man had everybody from Biggie to Jay-Z rocking his pieces, but here's what rappers didn't know. Jacob wasn't just selling jewelry, he was running a psychological operation. Jacob would take a chain that cost him $8,000 to make and sell it for $80,000. Not $80,000 because it was better than the other chains, $80,000 because Jay-Z wore one just like it. Marketing lesson number 1. Celebrity association creates artificial value. Jacob figured out that if he could get one big name to wear his piece, he could charge every other rapper 10 times the actual value just to feel like they were in the same league. This man was selling fear of missing out before we even had a name for it. The genius part? Every satisfied customer became free advertising to their friends. When Cameron showed up to the studio with a new Jacob piece, suddenly every rapper in the building had to have one too. But Jacob got too greedy. Federal agents found out he was washing money through his jewelry business, and in 2008, he got hit with a 30-month prison sentence. The man who built an empire selling dreams to rappers got locked up for being exactly what we thought he was, a criminal. And this is the man rappers trusted with millions of dollars. Let that sink in. Now while Jacob was fighting federal charges, a Vietnamese immigrant in Houston was perfecting an even more sinister strategy. Johnny Deng took Jacob's playbook and turned it into a viral phenomenon. Johnny's breakthrough moment came when he started giving free grills to Houston rappers who were about to blow up nationally. Paul Well, Mike Jones, and Slim Thug all got Johnny's work for free in exchange for name drops in their music. Listen to this. By 2005, Johnny Deng was getting mentioned in hit songs almost weekly. That's not organic love for his craftsmanship, that's paid placement disguised as an authentic endorsement. Marketing lesson number 2. Manufacturing cultural trends for commercial exploitation. Johnny didn't just sell grills, he convinced an entire generation that grills were necessary for credibility in hip-hop. He took a regional Houston thing and turned it into a global requirement, with him as the only authentic source. Check out these prices though. Johnny was charging $25,000 for grills that maybe cost him $3,000 to make. That's not markup, that's highway robbery with a smile. But here's where it gets wild. Recent investigations suggest Deng was selling lab-grown diamonds as natural stones, basically charging Lamborghini prices for Honda materials. And when Houston rapper Sauce Walka called him out publicly, the whole scheme started unraveling. Sauce Walka put it perfectly when he said, "Johnny, your diamonds is fake. Put them in the real machine, go get some insurance on it." What Sauce was talking about is CVD diamonds, lab-grown stones that look identical to natural diamonds but cost a fraction of the price. The problem? Johnny was allegedly charging natural diamond prices for artificial stones. So Johnny built a multi-million-dollar empire by convincing rappers they needed his product for street credibility, then allegedly sold them fake diamonds at real diamond prices. That's not business, that's organized fraud with a Houston accent. Now let's talk about the most sophisticated scammers of them all, Rafaello Co. These guys learned from Jacob and Johnny's mistakes and created the perfect crime. Rafaello positioned themselves as the ultra-exclusive option for only the biggest names. Drake, Future, Lil Baby, Da Baby. Their whole vibe was, we're so high-end, we don't even advertise. Marketing lesson number 3. Create luxury theater to disable critical thinking. Rafaello understood when you surround customers with luxury theater, private showrooms, exclusive access, VIP treatment, you can disable their ability to think rationally about what they're actually buying. The luxury experience becomes psychological cover for selling overpriced or fake products. But in September 2021, their whole operation got exposed when Lil Baby posted a picture of a Patek Philippe that he had paid $400,000 for. The internet immediately spotted it as a fake. The watch community went crazy because the font was wrong, the hands were off, and it was supposedly a special edition that Pateks never even made. Lil Baby had just paid $400,000 for a watch that didn't even exist. Lil Baby called them out immediately, saying, "Y'all know better than to sell me, of all people, a fake or anything that could be a fake. Don't play with me because I'm on that. Rafaello refunded the $400,000 and gave Baby 4 custom rings, claiming it was an honest mistake, but DJ Envy came forward with his own story about getting a Frankenstein Rolex from them, part rose gold, part yellow gold with non-Rolex components. Envy said, "When I went to get it appraised, we found out one of the links was rose gold instead of yellow gold, and the glass wasn't even Rolex glass. I had to spend thousands to fix this Frankenstein watch." And here's the kicker. 2 major scandals within months of each other suggest this wasn't just bad luck or honest mistakes, this was a business model. Now here's the most infuriating part. All 3 of these scammers weren't just stealing money, they were exploiting the deepest insecurities of people who grew up with nothing. Think about it. Most of these artists went from food stamps to Forbes lists overnight. They're carrying trauma from poverty, and these jewelers weaponize that trauma for profit. Marketing lesson number 4, exploiting identity insecurity for maximum profit. When you grow up broke, expensive jewelry becomes proof that you've escaped. These scammers knew exactly how to target that insecurity and turned it into compulsive spending. Listen to how rappers talk about jewelry. It's not about fashion, it's about validation. They need to shine to prove they made it out, and these jewelers made sure that need was never satisfied. Think about the psychological manipulation here. Every time rappers get comfortable spending $50,000 on a chain, these jewelers would introduce a $100,000 option. Every time they got comfortable with the $100,000 option, here comes a $500,000 option. And social media made it worse. Now every purchase had to be photographed, posted, and validated by strangers online. These jewelers were getting free advertising every time a rapper posted their jewelry on Instagram. The result? Artists spending 20 to 30% of their income on jewelry while neglecting real investments. That's not financial irresponsibility, that's a predictable result of psychological manipulation. Now let me show you the receipts of how these scams actually worked in real life, because the evidence is wild. Remember when Ace Hood was doing a BET Awards interview and his watch bezel literally separated from his watch on camera? That wasn't bad luck, that was fake craftsmanship exposed in real time. Or YBN Almighty J getting his grills tested with a diamond tester on camera and they didn't register at all. Jay said these diamonds are flawless diamonds, while the machine said these aren't diamonds. Then you got Sauce Waka calling out Elliot from Icebox for selling CVD diamonds. Your diamonds is fake. These diamonds you sell ain't even no VVS. They're CVD diamonds, carbon vaccinated diamonds. Just for context, CVD diamonds are lab-grown stones that are chemically identical to natural diamonds, but can be created in 2 weeks instead of millions of years. They cost about 60% less than natural stones, but some jewelers sell them at natural diamond prices. Marketing lesson number 5, technical complexity as fraud enablement. But the most devastating evidence came from Raheem the jeweler, who sat down with Gilly the Kid and confessed to making millions selling fake watches to rappers with Soulja Boy as his biggest client. Soulja Boy is my biggest client. This watch goes for about $800, industry price for white gold. But when we was off camera, you said all the Instagram models, a lot of rappers, a couple Baltimore Ravens, a couple New York Giants. This man admitted on camera that selling fake watches to celebrities was a $1 million business. And these are just the ones who got caught. But the real tragedy isn't just the money stolen, it's how these scams programmed an entire culture to prioritize image over wealth building. Think about artists like MC Hammer, who had millions but went broke because they were spending on depreciating assets instead of building real wealth. These jewelers created that mindset systematically. Listen to 21 Savage's realization. I stopped wearing jewelry because the richest people I ever met never had on jewelry. Every time I meet someone who's very wealthy, I never see materialistic stuff on them. Compare that to Jay-Z, who used jewelry strategically early in his career, but quickly shifted to real assets. Rock Nation, Tidal, his art collection, that's how you turn fame into generational wealth. Or Corday explaining why he doesn't buy Cuban links. If you talk with any actual accountant or financial expert, they'll tell you that you need about $30 million before you can really afford a $100,000 Cuban and be financially responsible. But every empire built on deception eventually crumbles, and the falls of these 3 jewelry kingpins were as spectacular as their rises. Jacob the jeweler never recovered from his federal conviction. After serving 30 months in prison, he attempted to rebuild his business, but the hip-hop community had moved on. His celebrity clientele disappeared, and his brand became synonymous with criminal activity rather than luxury status. Johnny Deng's empire started crumbling when former employees and customers went public with CVD diamond allegations, social media turned against him, with influencers actively warning their followers about fake diamonds. His Houston flagship store saw a 60% decline in celebrity visits between 2021 and 2023. However, Rafaello Co faced the most dramatic downfall. After the Lil Baby fake watch scandal, they were hit with multiple lawsuits from high-profile clients. DJ Envy's public testimony about receiving fraudulent watches triggered a federal investigation, and by late 2023, several of their locations had quietly closed. The broader jewelry industry implemented new authentication standards, and celebrities began working with established luxury houses rather than Instagram-famous jewelers. The era of unchecked jewelry manipulation was ending, but not before extracting hundreds of millions from hip-hop culture. Now, not everybody actually fell for this manipulation. Some artists figured out the game and started speaking out. Lil Durk posted this warning in 2021. Stop buying all this jewelry without knowing what you're doing. A lot of this stuff is fake and some is overpriced. Get one jeweler and stick to them. I'm telling y'all gonna be mad when the truth comes out. 3 days later, the Lil Baby scandal broke. Durk knew what was coming because he'd probably seen it firsthand. Nipsey Hussle also had the right mindset. He treated jewelry like any other business expense. He understood the image requirements of hip-hop, but never let it become an addiction or an identity crutch. Chance the Rapper barely wears jewelry at all, and has built more sustainable wealth than most of his peers who are chain-obsessed. That's not coincidence, that's understanding the difference between looking rich and being rich. The story of Jacob the Jeweler, Johnny Deng, and Rafael Co represents more than business fraud. It's a comprehensive case study in how sophisticated marketing psychology can transform human vulnerability into massive profit. These jewelers didn't just hustle watches, they reversed engineered human behavior. Their $500 million success wasn't luck, it was marketing psychology at its most precise and its most dangerous. Whether you're a consumer trying to protect yourself or an entrepreneur trying to grow ethically, here are the 5 lessons you need to understand. Marketing lesson number 1, celebrity association creates artificial value. Attaching a product to fame gives it instant credibility, even if the quality is trash. It's borrowed trust sold at a markup. As a consumer, are you actually buying the product or the hype around the person selling it? As a founder, are you building real value or just renting attention? Marketing lesson number 2, manufacturing cultural trends for commercial gain. From slang to style, businesses can fabricate movements to drive sales. If you can shape culture, you can control demand. As a consumer, is this trend something you actually believe in, or just something you've been sold? As a brand, are you responding to culture or manipulating it? Marketing lesson number 3, create luxury theater to disable critical thinking. Exclusive packaging, VIP access, velvet ropes, it's all designed to short-circuit rational thinking and inflate perceived value. As a buyer, are you evaluating the product or just seduced by the setting? As a seller, are you adding real value or just putting glitter on garbage? Marketing lesson number 4, exploiting identity insecurity for maximum profit. When people feel excluded, insecure, or unseen, they'll pay almost anything to feel like they belong. As a customer, are you buying from confidence or from fear? As a business, are you solving pain or preying on it? And finally, marketing lesson number 5, technical complexity as fraud enablement. The harder a product is to understand, watches, crypto, AI, the easier it is to sell snake oil. People fear looking dumb more than getting scammed. As a buyer, do you understand the product or just trust that someone else does? As a founder, is your product truly valuable or just too confusing to challenge? These aren't just lessons from the jewelry world, they're the rules of the modern marketplace. Use them to defend yourself or to build something worth trusting. Now, if you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to The Philosophy of Marketing. Also, I put together a free guide called The 5 Hidden Marketing Laws Every Brand Breaks. It's short, sharp, and shows you how to build a brand people actually believe in, not just buy from. You can grab it for free in the link down below. And if you're working on a brand or startup and want help with your positioning, messaging, or marketing strategy, I'm currently offering one-on-one brand consults. Spots are limited, but if you're serious about making your brand unforgettable, check the link in the description. And remember, the moment you pay for status instead of substance, you've already been played. Everything else is just expensive marketing disguised as exclusivity.